Welcome. I'm Dave Carroll, chairman of the Depot Preservation Society, and tonight we have finally, after almost 6 years, reached the point where we've saved the building in essence, and now we're giving the community the museum, which I would say in essence was Peter Osborne's and my initial commitment to one another, that we would stay on this thing until this level of preservation or restoration was achieved. So I guess without further ado, I have a number of dignitaries here to help us with the process. First of all, Honorable Arthur Gray, Senator of the State of New York. Art, if you start at the top.
Yes, I will, but I'm not here as a senator from the state of New York. I'm here because I'm so happy that this has come to this point.
Wait. You get to give your speech later.
No, but I want to do that. I don't think so.
Next we have Mayor Richard Roberts.
It's a pleasure, Dag, and like Art just said, it's almost too good to be true. Pleasure to cut this on behalf of the city.
Our next dignitary, Charlie Swartout, President of Menacing Valley Historical Society. And I would say at this point, without their backing, I don't think that in cooperation, the project would have ever even got off the ground. Charlie?
Thanks, Dave. It's a happy day for all of us here, and I can hardly believe it's happening.
Now, on behalf of the Depot Preservation Society, our railroader, Tom Washbon.
The person that should be up here is Irene Happy.
We save that for last. I think more than anything, Irene has instilled in us the dedication to continue this. She and Tom have been, I said, an inspiration to us. And I think at this time, both Irene and Tom would step up and do the last two.
He's holding a pocketbook.
You've each got
Well,
one.
here we go. I don't think there's anybody any happier than I am tonight, because I've been on this since the very, very beginning. And most people who know me know that I'm for Port Jervis and always have been, and always will be. So I'm very, very happy tonight, and I'm going to cut the half and let him cut the next.
Well, there's one for each of you,
Oh,
Irene.
one for each. Oh,
Equal billing on this one.
yes.
Tom represents the railroaders.
Just wait 1 second.
Well, that was a surprise. I didn't know how to do that.
All right.
Step in.
Come on in. Huh?
I see it.
Can we open up the doors here?
Yes.
Oh, boy. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, I have that on tape.
No, we should have taken that in. Yeah. You should have had that whistle blown in the background.
Think so, huh? That's fantastic. Okay. Sure. That's okay. Straight doors.
Excuse me. I'm getting good at that, yeah. May I have your attention, please? Now that you've had a chance to mill around a little bit and see what we've accomplished in this room, we do have some people that would like to say something this evening to the community. First of all, I'd like to make an apology. I forgot to mention that Irene Hoppy, in cutting the ribbon in the other room, was representing the Port Jervis Development Corporation. That's our funding source. The monies would not be in place without their cooperation. And I believe Sally Martinez is here, Kevin Keene, and there's Sally, okay? And Kevin Keene is back in the corner, Billy Bobozo. We have spent many afternoons in Billy's office coordinating the groundwork for this project. And I was remiss not to acknowledge that Irene was cutting the ribbon on behalf of the Development Corporation. So, mea culpa. At this time, I said we have a number of speakers. First and foremost, again, on behalf, I guess, of his community position, I won't mention his state title anymore. Art Gray. Art?
It's the election year, so you can mention it.
Rochester, Pennsylvania.
It's okay. Nobody from out of town here, right? I was thinking, as you do when you come to something like this, when it started, and realized that I don't even remember the year that I first got notified by our assessor. He said, "Do you know that the railroad station is going to be put up for tax sale?" And we got the word that somebody was going to do that to put housing in here. As much as we need housing, we don't need it in here. And I called Amasa Marks, the man who, with others, had purchased this. He was in Sussex, and I had gone over there and seen what he did with a 105-year-old milk league building and turned it into a jewel. And so I was happy when he originally purchased it, because it didn't appear that anybody in town was going to be able to handle it economically and so forth. So when I heard that he might lose it, and that was because of the high interest rates in the national economy at that time, nobody could really do much of anything along these lines, that he was losing it. So I said, please don't let that go for just what you owe on those taxes. So he got his group together and they paid the taxes, and then we formed a depot preservation committee, which had so many names on it I won't mention, but I know that Irene spearheaded it with and for me. And then they took off and got everybody in the community involved. I mean, everybody. I have relatives in Nebraska, had somebody from lower New Jersey, California, knew at that time I was the mayor, that if they got the money to me, we'd get it in the right place. So we had people wanting to do something because they remembered that their people lived here. And when we started to put it together with our community development agency, we had to go to HUD, and there was a fellow there by the name of Stanley Newman. And the good part about that was that Stanley Newman went to Sedgwick Camp years ago, and this place, when the Sedgwick Camp train would come in, there would be thousands of campers, or 8,000. I do like to exaggerate. Let's cut it down to hundreds. Hundreds of campers come in just for Sedgwick Camp. And he had happy days here at Sedgwick, and he remembered that. And the next time I went down, he had the depot, Save the Depot, on the back of his chair in his office in Washington. So I said, I think this might go through. And the fellows from HUD, they represent him here, if you fellows would raise your hand over there, and they have stuck by us with Sally, and they've been friends, because they recognize what this meant to this community. It's okay, it's economic development, it's community development, but it's really community spirit and pride. And then all the local folks got in, and with the Depot Preservation Group, and I won't take away from what they're going to say, because working with Charlie and the Muncie Valley Historical Society, we pulled this together in such a way that you would be probably bored with the details, but suffice to say, it was very complicated. And you might, if the Gazette people will excuse me, in the record yesterday, in the record, they mentioned that I made a little speech to some high school kids in Cornwall, and they asked me what they should do, and I said to them, to quote Churchill's shortest speech, never, never, never give up. And I have to apply it here because right here, this particular project, the city of Port Jervis, and all our neighbors and friends from Deer Park, Madam Morse, and Montague, etc., they all stuck together. They never, never, never gave up. And that's what this is a monument to, if you will, the fact that we never, never, never gave up. And it's not that we want, that we like the nostalgia of the old railroad. And it's not that you want to hang on to the past. It's just you want to learn from the past, and you want to remember those who made our city great. Plus, you want to use this jewel to make our city great yet again, because when you walk in here, as I did tonight, I physically felt like crying, because it's such a beautiful sight to see it lit up and finished. You couldn't put enough ribbons on that door to let the people cut the ribbons that were part of this action. To everybody, congratulations. Thank you. I hope all the speeches are short tonight.
He's saying that as he's exiting. You don't have to worry. I'm the only one they've already reprimanded about being long-winded. Representative Ben Gilman has been involved in this project since day one also. And Molly Almack, his regional representative, is here this evening, but she has laryngitis. So she passed a letter to me that I'd like to read at this time. Depot Preservation Society. I deeply regret that my congressional duties prevent me from joining with you at the ribbon-cutting ceremony. I have asked my district office manager, Mrs. Molly Almack, to extend my greetings to you and to all in attendance. We are often told that we, as a people, cannot judge where we are going if we don't know where we have been. Your preservation efforts serve to teach residents of today and tomorrow about the reasons Port Jervis came to be. It is a fitting memorial to the many courageous men and women who made Port Jervis a major railroad focal point. The restoration is also a tribute to what can be achieved when a group of people at the grassroots level bring our local, state, and federal governments together with the private sector to achieve a specific goal. Please accept my best wishes for a successful event and for many successful years to come. Sincerely, Ben Gilman. Thank you, Ben. Without going over my 5 minutes, on behalf of the city, I'd now like to introduce Mayor Roberts.
Dick, this is one of the nights that I think Art Gray still wishes he was mayor. And I know when I walked in here with him through the door after the ribbons were cut, it's just so hard to describe, and some of you that were with this project since the beginning know the condition of this building 6-8 years ago when the community pulled together to do what we've done tonight. It's a tribute not only just to Port Jervis, but to the community spirit of the whole tri-states area. And this evening belongs to the Depot Preservation Society, its members, past and present, the Board of Directors and the members of the Historical Society. Of course, its President Charles Swartout is here with us tonight. The Development Corporation, which was mentioned earlier, members of the Common Council, past and present, some of whom are with us this evening. The representatives from HUD, who we sincerely appreciate, not only on this project, but all the other projects that you've helped us with here in Port Jervis, and are continuing to do so with projects, and without your assistance, we could not be this far. Of course, we also must mention the citizens of Port Jervis, and one of those citizens I think we have to mention is Peter Osborne, who, without Peter, to coordinate the activities, and actually Peter works with the 3 boards that have overseen the project: the Historical Society, the Depot Preservation Society, and the Port Jervis Development Corp. Now, as the mayor, I have a hard enough time keeping one board of directors happy and getting them to do as we need to be done. Peter has coordinated the activities with the 3 boards, and all the problems that have come up, he's managed to solve. He's managed to keep everybody happy and everybody involved and spirited. And I think that's a tribute to Peter. I know his mother is here tonight. I met her for the first time. And I kiddingly said that she's to blame for Peter. But I'm very happy because I received a letter from Peter this week inviting me to a meeting at the Historical Society, which I served with Peter on. And it said that he was a citizen from Clifton, New Jersey, who somehow has meandered, I guess, to Port Jervis some 10 years ago now. And that's something we're celebrating this year, too. And we're happy that Peter has found Port Jervis. And I know as a historian, as we approach our 100th anniversary in the year 2007, Peter will be, hopefully you'll still be the city historian, Peter, and you'll be writing, as Irene Hoppy and others, and Dan Dwyer wrote the history of Port Jervis for the first 50 years, and then in 1982 for the Diamond Jubilee for the 75th birthday. I think when Peter writes the history of Port Jervis for the 100th anniversary, you're going to have to include the decade of the 80s, and you're going to have to include this project as the one that really brought together a community spirit. And with the Peter Osbornes and the Harold Deckers, we're going to continue to be a city of volunteerism and a city on the move. And I think as we enter the decade of the 90s, it's a tribute that this project lets us all remember our history and heritage, but it also tells us that we have to move forward with proper planning for the future, but yet we have a piece of our history with us. So thank you to everyone that's involved, and Peter, a special thank you to you.
I've been asked to make an announcement. A young girl got a piece of cracker caught in her throat, and that's why they had to call Doc Brown out. That's why the ambulance is here. They've got her windpipe clear, everything's fine. They're taking her up to the hospital for quick observation, check out up there, but everything seems to be fine. So. Next on my listing, on behalf, representing the Menacing Valley Historical Society, Charlie Swartout, their president.
thank you, everybody. It's certainly a nostalgic night for me to be here. And I can tell you as a young boy, I can never remember the waiting room looking like this. I said to Irene Hoppy, all we need now is Florence Bonnell down here from the Port Jervis Gazette to write up the affair. And I can remember coming here as with my brother as a little kid and running out by the tracks to look for the train, and my father yelling, "God damn it, Charlie, get away from those tracks." It was a long time ago, but it certainly brings back a lot of happy memories. And the years have certainly gone on, and the railroad fell into somewhat of a general deteriorating state. And back in 1984, Peter Osborne and I were downstairs in Flogene, and Peter said, "We're going to get the depot going again, and it's going to be alive in '85. And I said, "Peter, there's no way." But he said, "It's going to happen." Well, I think it did become alive. It needed some CPR along the way. But here we are 6 years later in 1990, and here we are today, and it's absolutely wonderful. And I can't begin to tell you the amount of satisfaction that I have and that the Minnesink Valley Society has and our board, because we indeed were the catalyst to make this project possible. And I again have told groups before that I think about Arlene Parker, starting with her rebirthday book, and that raised many, many thousands of dollars, and she really was a part of this. And Arlene, if you're here tonight, I want to make sure that you get credit for all of that. I think that we've come a long way. I can remember the countless board meetings that we have had at Minnesink Valley Historical Society, because Peter Osborne had to monitor the thousands of dollars of grants that were made available to this group, and the bureaucratic red tape and the detail and the trips back and forth to Albany and the deadlines and the next day express, everything I think except the fax service at that time, and that's become now the buzzword. But he has certainly worked diligently, and I cannot begin to think of where we would be without him and his dedication and his stick-to-itiveness and his optimism in getting the project together. This area that we see here tonight where we are is going to be a railroad museum. We, the Historical Society, is going to oversee that, and it will be filled with railroad artifacts and memorabilia just concerning railroads. We have some items that are going to be on loan to this group. We are soliciting from the general public any other pieces of railroad memorabilia that any of you might have, and I think that all of us have got some things in our attics and in our cellars, and it might be a good time to give it a nice home. I want to also express the appreciation of the board to the Port Jervis Development Corporation and to the Depot Preservation Society for their ability to work with us and for the three of us to work together, because without each of us, this would not have happened. And I commend Sally Martinez and Deggy Carroll for their stick-to-itiveness too, and thank you very much. We continue to receive inquiries on use of the building, and while there's nothing concrete yet, we are very, very optimistic that this is indeed going to be, as Art Gray said, the jewel of the city. And I thank each and every one of you tonight for coming, and I thank you for your support, and let's look for a good year in 1990. Thank you.
Ironically, I'm next on the agenda. I don't really have anything formal to say other than there are some further acknowledgments that we'd like to make. As Charlie alluded to, Dick and Art, there's been a nucleus in the community that started with the project. Most of those people are here this evening, and I want to acknowledge them first. I see in the back Ross and Carol Decker. We spent a number of evenings in the Decker home up in Huguenot planning fundraising strategies in the early years. Nikki Nicolette is to my right in the back. Nikki and I had the leading fiasco in a fundraising activity. We bought a truck and almost couldn't sell it. I was thinking, it would be nice parked over here. we netted about $50 on a $5,000 truck. And if we hadn't found some poor guy getting off the train one day to buy the last ticket, we wouldn't even made that. People from HUD that are here, these are somewhat faces that don't have names. We've had correspondence and telephone conversations. We've had liaison with Ann Finnegan. She's the only one I know by face and sight. But these people have been supported us with the bureaucracy, the paper flows that have to go back and forth, the untold trips to Albany that Peters has made. Charlie mentioned Arlene Parker, Irene Hoppy, and that's probably one of the biggest items that should be mentioned. Irene had the concept, I believe it was the first night in Janice Brown's living room, that the Erie Limited Honor Roll be established in form. And it will be displayed in a prominent position on one of the walls. And it raised, correct me if I'm wrong, Irene, but in excess of $14,000. There are probably a number of railroaders and former railroaders in this room that, you know, have made the contribution of $100 so that their name or their family member name would be inscribed on that plaque. The Rebirthday book. I know Dick Basham is here, and Dick coordinated the calligraphy work that went into establishing the Rebirthday book. And again, that was Arlene Parker's gem. The
Raised $35,000.
yes, raised in excess of $35,000. And I don't know if there's a representative here from Key Bank that in the initial process gave us the last $2,000 contribution to put us over the top to purchase the building from Mr. Marks. These people right now, I guess, are nameless and faceless at this point in time, but you know, I would like to extend our deepest gratitude because this project would not have taken those first initial steps in this long road. We were joking in the other room. In February, you know, just a few short weeks away, it will be 6 years from the night we met at Janice Brown's living room and started this project. I start rambling when I do things like this, and I'm afraid I'm going to miss somebody. I'm looking around real quick to be sure that I have tried to acknowledge everybody. Janice was a motivating force in the first couple of years. We spent many evenings in her living room before we were smart enough to realize that the Farnham building was available to us. Ron Schultz is here. Ron was an initial committee member, and there was a point in time when they decided that if a couple of businesses would come forward, Ron, I believe, made the first $1,000 contribution from a business standpoint. We had a fundraiser at Eddie Farm. The Eddie Farm people, Karen Ridley, were phenomenal in supporting us from early on. The breakfast concept, which again was successful this year. I said all the little players in this program have made a few of us that are able to stand up here tonight look very good. And at this time, without being able to read the litany of names, I salute all of you. I'm standing here facing Steve Butler, and I think one of the strongest personalities that supported us is Steve's wife, Sherry. She has been there repeatedly when we've needed the little nuts and bolts put in place. The little pieces of coal that were put out this evening to you as you came in was Sherry's idea and concept. So, again, if I missed anybody in the room, Peg Washbon, his husband Tom cut the ribbon. Tom was not available numerous times that Peg had to pick up the ball, and Peg did the train show. Peg, I'm sitting here trying to think, I knew there was a big fundraiser, right? And Janice would have my head if I did not acknowledge the guy who started the whole thing rolling. Hermie Cardisco sent us the first $100 check when he heard that the commission was going to be formed and said, start and don't look back.